The sterile white room smelled faintly of antiseptic. The harsh fluorescent lights flickered overhead, casting a cold glow that did nothing to ease the tension tightening around Liam's chest. His hands were cuffed to the metal chair, the cold biting into his skin. Across from him sat a woman. No, not quite a woman, something else, something alien. Her skin shimmered subtly, a pearlescent glow that shifted colors as she moved. Her eyes were impossibly large and deep, with an unsettling calmness that made Liam's heart pound faster. She was quiet, observing him with an unreadable expression. "You will address her as your assigned wife," a monotone voice echoed from the corner of the room. Liam turned his head to see the man in a sharp, government-issued suit, clipboard in hand, standing beside a bank of screens showing surveillance footage. "This is not some joke, Liam. The government has assigned you a wife. Your cooperation is mandatory." Liam's mind reeled. A wife? Assigned? For him? His lips trembled, trying to form words, but only silence emerged. The alien woman slowly rose from her seat and walked toward him, her movements graceful, almost hypnotic. She stopped just inches from his face, her eyes searching his. "I'm called Elysia," she said softly, voice melodic but foreign. Liam swallowed hard. This was insane. The government's latest experiment, maybe? Some twisted program he never heard about. He had no choice but to play along, at least for now. "You're my wife?" His voice cracked, disbelief and fear mingling in his tone. Elysia nodded once, serene. Behind them, the man in the suit cleared his throat. "Starting tomorrow, you will live together. You will follow all protocols. Resistance will be noted." Liam felt trapped. The days that followed blurred into an exhausting haze. Liam found himself confined to a small government apartment designed for him and Elysia. Cameras monitored every corner. Privacy was a myth. At first, Elysia kept her distance, silently observing Liam's routines. She never complained, never argued, but her presence was overwhelming. Her alien nature was impossible to ignore, subtle changes in the air when she was near, an odd warmth that defied logic. One evening, Liam sat on the couch, scrolling mindlessly through his phone, when Elysia spoke. "Why do you resist?" Her voice startled him. "I don't understand any of this. Why me? Why this?" Elysia's eyes flickered. "Your species is important to us. You are part of a larger plan." "A larger plan?" Liam scoffed. "You mean a plan I didn't sign up for?" Elysia's expression softened. "We were assigned to help, to guide, to protect." Liam shook his head, frustration boiling up. "Protect me from what?" Before she could answer, the room's lights dimmed suddenly, and the screens on the wall flickered. An alert beeped sharply. "Security breach detected," the suitman's voice crackled over the intercom. Liam and Elysia exchanged a glance. Suddenly, the alien's eyes flashed bright blue. A subtle pulse of energy seemed to emanate from her, making the hairs on Liam's neck stand on end. That night, Liam lay awake, the weight of the situation pressing down on him like a physical force. How had his life spiraled into this nightmare? He glanced over at Elysia, who was asleep, or at least resting peacefully, in the adjacent room. Her breathing was steady, almost human. Suddenly, the door to the apartment slid open silently. A shadow slipped inside. Liam bolted upright, heart hammering. Before he could react, a searing pain shot through his arm. "I'm sorry," whispered the shadowed figure, pressing a strange device against Liam's skin. "This is necessary." Liam blacked out. When he awoke, he was in a different room, dark, cold, and unfamiliar. His arm was bandaged, and Elysia was nowhere in sight. A screen flickered to life, showing a series of images, maps, documents, faces Liam didn't recognize. A voice spoke softly, yet with undeniable authority. "You are now part of a government operation called Project Wife. Your alien partner is genetically engineered to enhance human capabilities and ensure cooperation in a world facing threats you do not yet understand. Liam clenched his fists. "Why me?" he demanded. "Because you are uniquely suited," the voice replied cryptically. Days passed, and Liam's world twisted further. Elysia returned, but something had changed. Her demeanor was colder, more calculating. Yet at times, flashes of vulnerability broke through. One evening, as Liam tried to piece together the puzzle, Elysia pulled him close. "There is more than one of us," she whispered urgently. "We are not just companions, we are protectors, but there are dangers even we cannot control." Liam's mind raced. What was this larger plan? What secrets was the government hiding? And most frighteningly, what would happen if he refused to use Elysia as instructed? The story intensifies as Liam's forced partnership with Elysia unfolds, blending human emotions, government secrets, and alien mysteries. The tension grows, and the reader is left wondering who truly holds the power, the humans or the aliens. Cliffhanger. Late one night, as Liam confronted the suit man via a hidden communication channel, the man revealed a chilling truth. Your cooperation isn't optional. Elysia is designed to bond with you physically and mentally. Resist, and consequences will be severe. The question is, will you survive what comes next? Liam's breath caught in his throat. The real test was just beginning. The cold air of the underground facility wrapped around Liam like a shroud as he was escorted down dimly lit hallways, the sound of his footsteps echoing off the concrete walls. His mind was spinning, every word from the man in the suit still ringing in his ears. Elysia is designed to bond with you physically and mentally. Resist, and consequences will be severe. But what did that even mean? How much control did they have over his mind, over his will? He looked over at Elysia, walking calmly beside him, her eyes scanning their surroundings with an intensity that made Liam's skin crawl. The alien wife he'd been forced to accept was no longer just an enigmatic stranger. She was a living enigma, with powers he couldn't understand. And the worst part? She was somehow connected to him, bonded in a way he had yet to fully comprehend. They reached a small chamber lined with translucent pods, humming softly. The air was thick with the sterile smell of antiseptics and cold metal. "This is the bonding chamber," the man said without emotion. "Your connection will be finalized here. There's no turning back." Liam swallowed hard, every instinct screaming at him to run, to fight, to refuse. But his body was heavy, his limbs sluggish, as if the very idea of resistance was slowly being stripped away from him. Elysia turned to face him, her eyes holding a strange softness, a flicker of empathy. "This bond is more than control, Liam," she said softly. "It is survival. Together we are stronger." "Stronger?" Liam repeated, his voice raw. "Stronger how? And stronger against what?" Elysia hesitated, then whispered, "The world as you know it is crumbling. Outside these walls, threats grow that your government can barely contain. This bond is your protection." Liam's heart raced, but before he could respond, a technician approached with a device that looked like a slender wand, pulsing with faint blue light. "Please step inside," the man instructed. Inside the pod, Liam's body felt suspended between consciousness and something else, a strange, creeping sensation as the device's energy flowed through his veins, crawling beneath his skin like liquid fire. Across from him, Elysia was enclosed in a similar pod. He watched as her eyes closed, her breathing steady. Minutes stretched endlessly as the bonding process began. Suddenly, images flashed through Liam's mind. Flashes of Elysia's memories, her homeworld, her people, a civilization light years away, thriving yet desperate. An ancient threat, called the Rift, was consuming stars and planets alike, forcing her race to seek alliances with humans. The memories were overwhelming, foreign emotions mixing with his own. A strange warmth blossomed deep inside him, pulling him toward Elysia, even as fear gnawed at his mind. The pods hissed, and the bonding process ended abruptly. Liam's vision cleared, and for the first time he felt the connection. He could hear Elysia's thoughts, feel her emotions, her hopes, fears, and uncertainties as if they were his own. It was terrifying and intoxicating all at once. "Do you feel it?" Elysia asked, stepping closer, her voice now echoing inside his mind. "Yes," Liam whispered, his heart pounding. "It's like you're inside me." "We are linked," she said, "bound. Whatever affects one affects the other." Liam's mind raced. "What if I want to break the bond? What if I don't want this?" "You can't," Elysia replied, quietly. "Not without severe consequences." Days passed. Liam struggled to adjust to the new reality. Every moment was a delicate balancing act, managing his own fears while trying to understand the alien presence now entwined with his soul. But the government's watchful eyes were always there, and compliance was demanded at every turn. One morning, Liam awoke to find Elysia already awake, sitting at the edge of the bed, staring out the window with an unreadable expression. "We need to talk," she said. Liam frowned. "About what?" "About what's really happening, about why you were chosen." He studied her carefully. "I thought I was just a pawn in their game." "Perhaps," she admitted, "but there is more beneath the surface. Your assignment is part of a larger strategy, one to unite human and alien strengths against a threat no one is prepared for." Liam sat up, feeling a surge of frustration. "You expect me to believe this without proof?" Elysia's eyes darkened. "I will show you." Over the next few days, Elysia began sharing fragmented pieces of her world and her mission. She spoke of the Rift, an unstoppable force threatening to devour entire solar systems, and how her people had tried to find allies among humanity to stand against it. "The Rift feeds on fear, on division," she explained. "Our bond is meant to unite, to build trust." Liam listened, torn between disbelief and a growing curiosity. Could this be true? Was the government really protecting them by forcing these alien-human marriages? Despite himself, he began to see Elysia differently, not as a prisoner or an assignment, but as a potential partner in survival. But just as Liam began to accept this fragile alliance, shadows from within the government crept in. One evening, as he returned to the apartment after a rare moment of freedom, he found the door ajar, something that had never happened before. Inside, the room was ransacked, papers scattered, electronics smashed, and on the wall, written in harsh red letters, "Trust no one, not even her." Liam's heart pounded. Was this a warning, a threat? Who had done this? He looked at Elysia, who stood silently by the window, her usual calm replaced by something cold, almost unreadable. "We're running out of time," she said softly. "There are forces within your government who want to control the bond for their own ends." Liam's mind reeled. "What do you mean?" "They see the bond as a weapon, not a bridge," she explained. "And they will stop at nothing to claim it." That night, Liam couldn't sleep. His thoughts churned with questions and doubts. He wondered how deep the conspiracy went. Could he trust Elysia? Could he trust anyone? Then, a sudden knock on the door shattered the silence. Liam froze. He glanced at Elysia, who nodded slightly. He opened the door cautiously to find a man in shadows, a stranger with urgent eyes. "I don't have much time," the man said breathlessly. "You need to know what they're hiding. The government is lying. The bond isn't just protection, it's control, and it's spreading." Liam's pulse quickened. "Spreading?" "Yes," the stranger whispered. "More people like you and Elysia. People who are being bound against their will." Before Liam could respond, the man slipped a small data chip into his hand and vanished into the night. The next morning, Liam and Alicia sat together, staring at the data chip. "What's on this?" Liam asked, feeling the weight of the secret. In his palm. "Proof," Alicia said grimly. "Proof that the government's story is only part of the truth." Liam's eyes narrowed. "And if we expose it, then we become targets," Alicia replied. "But it might be the only way to stop what's coming." The bond between Liam and Alicia had shifted, from forced partnership to uneasy alliance. They were no longer just husband and wife assigned by the government. They were survivors in a world on the edge of chaos. And as the sun set outside, casting long shadows over the city, Liam realized this was only the beginning. Cliffhanger. As Liam inserted the data chip into a secure device, the screen flickered to life, revealing files that chilled him to the bone. Among the documents was a photo, an image of a familiar face he never expected to see in this nightmare. The face was his own. Liam's hands trembled as he stared at the screen. The grainy photograph was unmistakable. It was him, but not as he knew himself. This image showed a different version of Liam, his eyes dark and hollow, his expression blank, as though someone else had taken control. What is this?" he whispered, voice barely steady. Alicia leaned in, eyes sharp and unreadable. "It's proof. Proof that your government's story hides darker truths. You aren't just a victim, Liam. You are part of an experiment far more twisted than you realize." Liam's mind reeled. The documents detailed secret projects, classified files describing a program called Project Echo. It spoke of creating hybrid bonds between humans and aliens to produce super soldiers, obedient, powerful, and untraceable. The government had been manipulating memories, personalities, and even bodies, wiping free will away. He swallowed hard. "So, this bond is just control." Alicia's voice softened. "Control, yes, but it's also a symbiotic link, one that can be used to protect or to enslave." Liam's breath caught. "And that photo, it's me under control, most likely. You were chosen for your genetic profile, ideal for the bond. But something went wrong. You retained fragments of yourself, fragments that could disrupt the program." The weight of the revelation crushed Liam's chest. He wasn't just trapped in a forced marriage with an alien. He was a piece in a vast, cold experiment designed to control humanity itself. "How do we fight this?" Liam demanded. "If they can erase our will, how can we resist?" Alicia's eyes glimmered with fierce determination. "By understanding the bond, by learning to control it ourselves. Only then can we break free." Liam nodded slowly, the fire of resistance igniting within him. "Then teach me." Over the next few days, Liam and Alicia worked together, pushing the limits of their bond. The connection that once felt like a chain now began to reveal its hidden strengths. He learned to sense her emotions, to share thoughts without speaking, and even to synchronize their physical movements. Together, they were stronger, more alert, more aware. But the most remarkable discovery was their ability to influence each other's memories. With Alicia's guidance, Liam reached deep into his own mind, uncovering locked-away memories buried beneath layers of government tampering. Among them was a chilling memory of a man in a lab coat, a scientist who had whispered promises of salvation and doom. One night, as Liam relived this memory, Alicia interrupted, her voice urgent. "There's something you must see." She led him to a hidden compartment beneath the floor of their apartment. Inside was a small, ancient-looking device, an alien artifact, humming softly with power. "This is a key," Alicia explained. "It belongs to my people, a tool to unlock and control the bond." Liam reached out hesitantly, feeling a strange warmth pulse through his fingers. Suddenly, the device flared to life, projecting a holographic star map filled with blinking red. Dots, each marking a location of other bonded couples. These are others like us, Elysia said, spread across the globe, all controlled by the same program. Liam's mind raced. If we can find them, maybe we can free them. Elysia nodded, but we must move quickly. The government's enforcers are closing in. The next morning, Liam awoke to find a message blinking on their secure comlink. Warning, the voice was distorted but unmistakable. The agency knows you possess the data chip and the artifact. Extraction is imminent. Liam and Elysia prepared to leave, knowing every second counted. As they slipped through the shadows of the city, Liam's thoughts drifted to the man in the photo. Was that truly him? What he could become if he lost this battle? The thought made his resolve harden. We can't let them win, Liam said quietly. Elysia took his hand, the bond between them sparking brighter than ever. We won't, she promised. Their journey took them to a clandestine meeting point, a forgotten warehouse on the outskirts of the city. There, to Liam's astonishment, they found a group of people, others who bore the marks of the bond. Men and women with glowing tattoos on their wrists, eyes that flickered with alien light. One of them stepped forward, a woman named Mara, a former government scientist who had escaped the program's grip. "You're not alone anymore," Mara said firmly. "But the agency will hunt us all. We need to strike first." Liam looked around at the group, feeling a surge of hope and fear. "This is a war for our minds," Mara continued, "and it's only just begun." Days turned into nights filled with plans, training, and whispered conversations. Liam discovered that the bond gave them unique abilities, heightened senses, rapid healing, and even the power to disrupt electronic systems. But with power came danger. One of the bonded, a man named Kellen, began to show signs of mental instability, visions of the rift's monstrous forms and whispered commands from unseen voices. "Beware the rift's influence," Kellen warned in a trance-like state. "They reach through the bond. They corrupt." The group's unity was tested as paranoia grew. One evening, as Liam and Elysia returned from a scouting mission, the warehouse was under attack. Masked soldiers stormed the building, weapons blazing. Chaos erupted. Liam felt Elysia's mind in pain, a warning, and instinctively pushed them both into a hidden tunnel beneath the floor. They ran, hearts pounding, as gunfire and explosions echoed above. Outside, the city burned under the government's wrath. Safe for the moment, Liam and Elysia sat in the dark tunnel, catching their breath. "We need a new plan," Liam said, voice low. Elysia's eyes gleamed. "There's one place they won't find us, a secret facility deep in the mountains. If we can reach it, we can use the artifact to sever the bond's control." Liam nodded. "Then we leave at dawn." As they prepared for the dangerous journey ahead, Liam's thoughts returned to the data chip and the haunting photo. He didn't know what lay waiting for him in the shadows, but one thing was certain: the battle for their freedom and humanity's future had only just begun. Cliffhanger. As Liam packed their gear, his comlink beeped with an urgent message. The screen displayed a live feed, and to his horror, he saw himself again, only this time it wasn't a photo, it was a recording of him. Inside a government lab, restrained and unconscious, surrounded by scientists. His own voice whispered through the speakers, "Activate the bond protocol." The chilling footage haunted Liam. Watching himself restrained in a sterile lab, his eyes closed, voice barely audible, whispering, "Activate the bond protocol," sent a shudder through him. How could that be? Was this his past? A memory? Or worse, a recorded future? Elysia's fingers gripped his shoulder. "This isn't just your mind playing tricks, it's real. Somewhere, they're holding another version of you. Or maybe a clone, or a backup." Liam shook his head. "Why? Why would they do this to me?" And what does activate the bond protocol even mean? Before Elysia could answer, a sharp noise interrupted them. Someone was at the door, fast footsteps approaching. Liam's heart jumped. "Hide!" Elysia hissed, dragging him deeper into the shadows of the tunnel. The door creaked open. A figure slipped inside, a man, his face obscured by a hood, but his eyes shone with urgency. "Liam, you don't know me, but I'm here to help," the stranger whispered. Liam's pulse quickened. "How do I know I can trust you?" The man pulled back his hood, revealing a familiar face. Mara, the scientist they had met at the warehouse. "I escaped before the attack," she said. "But they're after all of us. The government knows about the artifact and the data chip." Liam glanced at Elysia. "What now?" "We have to get to the mountains," Mara said, her voice tense. "The secret facility is the only place safe enough to try breaking the bond." The three set out at first light. The city behind them was a maze of surveillance and danger, but they moved with purpose. As they journeyed, Mara explained what she knew. Project Echo was designed to create perfect soldiers, humans bonded with alien tech, controlled remotely through the bond. "The artifact you found is the key to unlocking or shutting down this control." Liam clenched his fists. "But the government's version is twisted. They want to use us as tools, like slaves." Mara nodded grimly. "They've been erasing memories, rewriting identities. That footage you saw, it's a failsafe. If you ever get out of line, they activate a control protocol, wiping your free will." Elysia added, "But the bond is also a connection. If we learn to master it, we can protect each other and fight back." Liam looked at Elysia, feeling the invisible threads of their bond pulse between them. "So this bond can either enslave us or set us free." The journey was grueling. They crossed desolate landscapes, avoided government patrols, and faced the constant threat of capture. At night, Liam struggled with nightmares, flashes of the lab, voices commanding him, and images of the rift's monstrous forms invading. His mind... "Is it the bond messing with your head?" Mara asked one evening as they camped beneath a sky full of stars. "Maybe," Liam admitted. "Sometimes it feels like there's something else inside me, something waiting to take over." Elysia reached for his hand. "You're stronger than it. We'll fight it together." Days later, the mountains loomed ahead, jagged peaks, piercing the clouds. Mara led them to a hidden cave entrance, guarded by ancient alien technology. She held up the artifact, which glowed softly. "The bond's key," she said. "This will let us bypass the security." Inside, the air was cool and damp. Walls hummed with energy, etched with symbols from another world. As they descended deeper, Liam felt a strange pull, a mix of fear and hope. Suddenly, alarms blared. "They've found us," Mara whispered urgently. "We don't have much time." They hurried into a vast chamber filled with consoles and strange devices. Mara activated the artifact at the center, and a holographic interface sprang to life. "Here," Mara said, pointing to a map of bonded individuals worldwide. "We can track their locations and send a pulse to disrupt the control signal." Liam's eyes widened. "We could free them all." But before they could act, the chamber shook violently. "Security breach!" A mechanical voice echoed. The door slammed shut. "We're trapped," Elysia said, voice steady but tense. Liam's mind raced. "We need to find a way out, and fast." Mara focused on the consoles, typing rapidly. "I'm overriding the lockdown, but it'll take time." Suddenly, the shadows shifted. From the darkness emerged a figure, tall, alien, with eyes that glowed like embers. Liam froze. "It's one of the Rift," Elysia whispered. The Rift were monstrous beings from another dimension, long thought to be a myth. Their presence meant the government's experiments had attracted something far worse. The alien stepped forward, voice like gravel. "You meddle with forces beyond your understanding." Liam's grip tightened on Elysia's hand. "We're not afraid." The rift's eyes flickered as it surveyed the group. You seek to sever the bond, to disrupt the balance. Mara stood firm. We want freedom, for all of us. The alien smiled, cold and cruel. Freedom comes at a price. Are you willing to pay it? Suddenly, the artifact flared brightly. Liam felt the bond surge through him, a wave of power and connection unlike anything before. Images flashed through his mind, faces of the bonded, their pain and hope intertwined. He realized then that the bond was not just a control device. It was a living link, a network of souls fighting for survival. With newfound resolve, Liam raised the artifact. This ends now. Cliffhanger. Just as Liam activated the device, the rift lunged forward. A blinding flash of light filled the chamber, and then silence. The blinding flash of light burned Liam's vision, and for a moment everything vanished into white. When the glare faded, the chamber was eerily silent, but the oppressive presence of the rift still lingered like a dark cloud. Liam gasped, clutching the artifact tightly as he struggled to stay standing. Around him, Elysia and Mara were barely visible through the haze, their faces pale but determined. The rift, however, was nowhere to be seen. Did we do it? Mara whispered, eyes scanning the consoles for any sign of the bonds. Status, I don't know, Liam replied, voice hoarse, but it feels like something's changed. The holographic map flickered, showing a pulse spreading outward, touching the locations of hundreds, no thousands, of bonded humans worldwide. Mara let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. The signal, it's weakening. The government's control is breaking. Elysia smiled, relief softening her features for the first time in days. We did it. But Liam knew better. The fight was far from over. Outside the mountain cave, the world was already shifting. Across continents, people who had been shackled mentally and physically by the government's bond protocol were awakening. Memories lost, identities suppressed, and wills enslaved were returning like ripples across a vast ocean. News reports began flooding in. Unexplained mass disappearances, government cover-ups unraveling, protests igniting worldwide. Yet, beneath this apparent victory, darker things were stirring. Back in the cave, the rift's absence felt unnatural. Liam could still sense their presence, lurking just beyond the veil of reality. Why did they disappear? Liam asked Mara. They didn't just retreat. Mara shook her head. The rift aren't like us. They don't give up. I think they're regrouping, planning their next move. Elysia frowned. What if the bond was keeping them at bay? Now that it's weakened, what if they can invade fully? Liam swallowed hard. Then we've only delayed the inevitable. Hours passed as they fortified the chamber, trying to harness the artifact's power to defend against any rift incursion. But the strain was overwhelming. Liam felt the bond pulse stronger now, no longer as a leash, but as a thread of hope, linking all the freed souls. Suddenly the artifact's glow shifted to a deep red. A warning. It's unstable, Mara said urgently. The more we push it, the more energy it drains from us. Liam clenched his fists. What choice do we have? As night fell, Liam's mind drifted to memories from the lab. Fragments. He couldn't fully grasp, but that felt intimately his. A voice echoed softly in his mind. You are the key. What does that mean? He murmured. Elysia touched his arm. Maybe you're not just bonded to us. Maybe you're connected to the rift in ways we don't understand yet. The thought chilled him. Could he be a bridge between humanity and the rift? A weapon or a salvation? Suddenly the chamber trembled violently. The rift had returned. This time they were more than shadows, towering beasts with glowing eyes and jagged limbs, creeping from the dimensional rift that had begun. To open wider, prepare yourselves. Mara shouted. Liam felt the bond surge through him, a fierce energy coursing in his veins. He could sense the millions connected to him, their hope fueling his strength. As the rift charged, Liam raised the artifact, channeling the collective will of humanity. The air crackled with energy as beams of light clashed with monstrous darkness. The battle was brutal and relentless. Liam fought not just for himself, but for every person freed by the bond's weakening hold. Elysia and Mara supported him, using the artifact to shield and heal, but the rift's strength was overwhelming. In the chaos, Liam saw something that stopped him cold. A rift tearing at a figure in the shadows. Wait, that's... No! Liam recognized the silhouette. His own brother, James. James! Liam yelled, breaking through the fray. But James didn't respond. His eyes were glazed, and strange symbols flickered across his skin. He's been bonded to the rift, Mara gasped. They're using him as a puppet. Liam's heart shattered. With tears streaming, Liam lunged forward, desperate to reach his brother. James, it's me! Fight it! For a brief moment, a flicker of recognition shone in James's eyes. Liam, help! His voice cracked. But the rift's control snapped back, and James attacked. Liam dodged, his mind torn between the brother he loved and the monster before him. The fight escalated. Liam realized he couldn't win by brute force. He had to reach James's mind, break the rift's hold. Using the bond's link, Liam focused every ounce of willpower, sending a mental plea. Remember who you are. Remember home. James's eyes flickered again, and the glowing symbols began to fade. Liam, I'm sorry, James whispered, collapsing into his brother's arms. The rift roared in fury as one of their puppets was lost. With the artifact's energy draining rapidly, Liam made a choice. I'll lead them away, he said. No! Elysia protested. We need you here. Liam shook his head. If I stay, they'll hurt more people. I'm the key to the bond, and to their power. With a last look at his friends, Liam stepped into the widening rift, the artifact blazing. On the other side, Liam found himself in a twisted mirror of the world, a dark, fractured realm where the rift's influence was absolute. The air was thick with despair, the sky a swirling mass of shadows. Liam's bond pulsed wildly. Here he could hear the voices of the enslaved, trapped souls crying out for freedom. He clenched the artifact. This ends now. Liam began his journey through the rift's domain, determined to sever their control and save his brother and humanity. But every step forward came with a cost. The bond was pulling him apart from the inside. Back in the real world, Elysia and Mara prepared to continue the fight. James lay unconscious but alive. The world was watching, waiting, and the price of freedom had only just begun. Cliffhanger. In the rift's realm, Liam faced a dark figure emerging from the shadows, a being both familiar and terrifying. Welcome home, Liam, the figure whispered. You belong to us now. The dark figure stepped forward from the shifting shadows of the rift's realm, the very air around him crackling with raw power and cold menace. Liam's heart pounded fiercely, not just out of fear, but with a deep well of determination. Welcome home, Liam, the figure said again, voice low and laced with venomous familiarity. You belong to us now. Liam's breath caught. The figure's shape began to solidify, revealing the twisted, grotesque features of someone he never thought he'd see here. His father, or what was left of him, twisted and consumed by the rift. Father? Liam whispered, disbelief mingling with shock. The figure smiled cruelly. I am no longer your father, Liam. I am the rift's champion, and you will serve as I do. Liam's mind reeled. How could his father be here? How had he fallen so far? The rift's influence twisted everything, turning love into poison, family into enemies. But Liam clenched his fists around the artifact, feeling the bond's pulse, the millions of voices connected to him, pleading for salvation. "You may have taken him," Liam said, voice steady, "but you'll never take us all." With a surge of will, Liam channeled the artifact's energy into a brilliant blaze of light that pushed back the shadows. The rift recoiled, but the figure snarled and lunged. The battle that followed was unlike any before, not just physical, but mental and emotional. Liam felt the rift clawing at his mind, trying to break him, to force him into submission. Images flashed, memories of pain, betrayal, loneliness, fear. But Liam fought back, calling to the humanity inside him and inside. "His father, remember who you were," Liam pleaded. For a moment, the dark figure hesitated, and Liam saw a flicker of the man his father had been. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Elysia and Mara worked tirelessly, rallying the freed people to resist the government's crumbling control. James slowly regained consciousness, haunted by the rift's lingering grip, but strengthening with each passing hour. Together, they organized resistance cells, disseminated the truth, and prepared for the final confrontation with the remaining rift agents still disguised in human form. In the rift realm, Liam's struggle reached its peak. The dark figure fought for dominance in their shared mindscape, memories clashing with shadow. Liam's love for his father and his hope for humanity's freedom became his weapons. With a final surge of light from the artifact, the rift's hold shattered. His father collapsed, gasping, the monstrous features fading to reveal a broken man. "Liam, I'm sorry," he whispered. Tears streamed down Liam's face. The rift realm began to collapse, the walls of darkness crumbling as Liam and his father fought their way toward the exit. But the artifact's energy was nearly spent. Liam faced a choice: escape and abandon the rift to rebuild, or sacrifice himself to seal the rift forever. With a heavy heart, Liam chose sacrifice. He poured every ounce of power into the artifact, binding the rift permanently, but at the cost of his own life. As the realm imploded, Liam felt the bond's warmth one last time, the connection to humanity, to hope, to love. Back on Earth, the rift vanished. The government's control dissolved completely. James, Elysia, and Mara mourned Liam, but vowed to honor his sacrifice. Epilogue. Years later, humanity had changed. Freed from control, they rebuilt with newfound respect for freedom and love. James became a leader, telling Liam's story, a tale of courage, sacrifice, and the unbreakable human spirit. Lesson: true freedom isn't given or taken. It's fought for with heart and soul, and sometimes the greatest love is the willingness to give everything for others. The end.